rule was we were not allowed 800 meters. We had to be 800 meters back from the front line. We could not like go up to the fighting. So
What the hell are you there for?
we were rocking and rolling. He came in with that attitude. He's like, dude, you know, you're in charge of the tactics and this and that. And then I'm looking up and out, but I'm here to support you. And then the same way I was like, I'm going to support you. So it wasn't, during sit, they started griping about the OIC. But it wasn't like anything too crazy. It was just something I noticed,
Is there anything now? I mean, hindsight's like, more than 2020, but is there anything you would have changed up from what you did to, basically flip this team's performance around? Like the leadership tactics you used during that time period?
No. Yeah. No. I don't, not during workup or during sit. During deployment, yes.
Okay.
There's a couple things on deployment that, I would have changed a little bit. I mean, and that's the thing, like leadership is not, I think there's some people that, get out of the military and they sell leadership as this, like, this is the way it is and this is how you will become an effective leader. Leadership, you are going to mess up. I think a big thing of being a good leader is being humble enough and being vulnerable enough to be like, hey, and I said that to my platoon a couple times when we went into MAROPS, maritime operations and diving. I was like, dude, this is not my strong suit. I've been deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Like maritime and diving was not on the, we did it, but it wasn't like focused on. So I told them, I was like, I'm going to need some of your guys' help during these blocks to actually, succeed and be the best. And so, I think that paid dividends because they were like, and I actually put some of them in charge and some stuff. I'm like, hey, you're going to run this. I was really running it, but to give them the confidence.
Yeah. Feel like they're in charge.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So yeah, when we got on deployment, that's when things shifted really quickly.
How so?
We got there and we hit the ground running.
Maybe a little context for people, just what's going on at the time in Iraq.
Okay,
and Mosul.
Obviously ISIS had control of Mosul, and there was a SEAL platoon that was already there, which my best friend was the platoon chief of. They had pushed through the east side of Mosul, and that's Trump took office when they were on their deployment. I think it was like the last 2 months of their deployment when Trump took office, and that's when they started being able to push. They're like, hey, you're going to push through the eastern side of Mosul, which was pretty rural. And then you had the western side, which was completely urban. I mean, just city after city, like it was just packed. So by the time we got there, they had cleared the eastern side, and we were being tasked with doing the western. And I remember my best friend, we had about 2 days of, we call it turnover. So when you show up, you do like a little turnover with the platoon that's there. I usually get what's working for them. Like, hey, what have you been doing that works? What hasn't been working? So you can start implementing those, if that's what you want to do.
Just 2 days.
Well, yeah. Usually you show up a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance, and you'll do some turnover operations where you'll go out with that platoon. But we did not do that. It was literally because the reason we didn't do it is because we were given a different partner force. So they were working with the the Kurds.
Peshmerga.
Yes. And so they had been working with them. I don't know why I blanked on that.
It's all good.
And then when we showed up, they're like, hey, you guys aren't going to be working with them. You're going to be working with ERD, Emergency Response Division, which is a bunch of Iraqis.
That's not as good.
Well, from what I was told, the Peshmerga were awesome to work with.
Yeah.
Just like on board with doing everything. This group was not vetted. They had a heavy Iranian influence. So we were told, like, hey, you need to keep eyes in the back of your head because some of these guys could smoke you if they wanted to. So it was definitely like, all right, this is going to be a little complicated. We were in this mansion when we showed up, which is where the team was staying. Because we were clearing the western side, we ended up having to move into Mosul and stage out of there. And we fell under the Marine Corps. We fell under MARSOC because they had operational control. So my platoon and one other SEAL platoon fell under a MARSOC command, which was awesome. I could not say better things about them and the way they operate. But they pretty much took over a couple houses right outside of western Mosul, and that's where we lived. It was a shithole. It was like, but it was like everything that nothing I had done before. I was like, this is what I expected. No, I think there was out of the 4 platoons that were there, plus the head shed and all the administrative, we had 2 porta-johns, no showers.
Oh wow.
No, it was just MREs. But that's, I was sort of like, this is reminiscent to the beginning of the war.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're back.
Had you had exposure already in any previous deployments to ISIS?
No.
So this is your first time with that?
Yeah. We had not gone against ISIS. It was all Taliban, Al Qaeda. So we show up there, and it was literally, dude, it was like figure it out. So we were given the partner force, and they're like, hey, you guys are we were doing a AAA mission, which is advised, assist, and accompany, right? So we were really there just to advise them and assist them with air assets, and then if need be, we accompany them up to like help them out to get the job done. But that's like last resort, right? The rule was we were not allowed 800 meters. We had to be 800 meters back from the front line. We could not like go up to the fighting. So
what the hell are you there for?
To air assets. So what we would do is we would go out. This is like the first couple of weeks, and this is when I talk about figuring it out. Dude, the first day that we started clearing was probably one of the gnarliest like things I'd seen. We show up. There must have been miles of just Iraqi Humvees down stretching the line, and they were like, pretty much came over comms and was like, and go. And they just started pushing into the city, and they're just blowing up, like IEDs going off. Like you're just watching mayhem happen. It was like a thing out of Braveheart. You're just like, what the fuck? So our job is we set back, we fly a Puma or a drone, we look for targets with the Puma or drone, and then we had mortars, and we would either hit the target with mortars or call in airstrikes, right? The problem with that was the Iraqis were getting their shit pushed in, and the leadership of the Iraqis were like, hey, you need to come up there with us. And we had to, well, we're not allowed.
Oh, shit.
And then they're like, well, you guys are fucking cowards. And so you're not gaining the respect of the partner force that you're working with. So I played this game. Me and my OIC played this game for about, I'd say, a couple weeks. And we're like, dude, this doesn't make any sense, because also what would happen is we were sitting back 800 meters, and ISIS had drones. So the ISIS,
that's nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was like a really 360 environment. You had to not look for IEDs, VBIDs. Now you had to look up in the air. So ISIS would fly over drones, and as soon as that would happen, we were taking mortars, because what they would do is just get your location, boom, and start hitting you with mortars. And so we were just getting smacked with mortars each time we went out, and they were coming close. And so we would call back and be like, hey, we want to push forward because we're taking fire. And they're like, nope, just return to base. So we just kept doing that. And I was like, dude, we're not making any ground. Like, this isn't doing anything. So myself and the OIC were like, listen, we're going to go on the offensive here. Like, we're an offensive unit. This is not, we can't just sit back here and do nothing.
Yeah.
And so we started going out. We'd set up our position where we were supposed to, 800 meters or wherever we chose. But then I would take an element up closer to at first I would go recce a spot with a couple guys.
You go what a spot?
Recce, recon.
Oh, got it.
Recon a spot, find some high ground. And that was, had a good advantageous position. And then I would come back and grab, 4 or 5 guys, go up there with javelins, sniper rifles, A-dubs, all the organic weapons that we had at our disposal. And we started having an effect, because then we were able to engage ISIS, from an area that we could see them, and the partner force started moving. They started clearing because of that, because
Watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.